When people think about the Mongol Empire, they think about powerful rulers, Genghis Khan, Kublai Khan, conquerors standing at the top of history, massive armies, cities collapsing, entire civilizations overwhelmed. History remembers the emperor sitting on the throne. But empires are never built by one man. By the time Kublai Khan ruled the largest land empire on Earth, he inherited systems the world could barely comprehend. Horse breeding networks across continents, military communication systems, battlefield intelligence, logistics chains, siege engineering learned from conquered civilizations, command structures refined over generations. The visible emperor stood on invisible foundations built long before him, and civilization works exactly the same way. We imagine invention completely backwards. We think history moves through heroic moments. One genius, one invention, one breakthrough, a flash of brilliance that changes the world overnight. But almost nothing important in civilization works that way. Civilization is not built like a lightning strike. It is built like a cathedral, layer after layer, generation after generation, thousands of invisible builders. Most never see the final structure completed, but history compresses the entire chain into one face: the founder, the inventor, the billionaire, the emperor. History loves the final visible layer. It rarely sees the buried mountain underneath it, like the iceberg below the surface. Most people remember Marconi, the inventor of radio. But Marconi arrived at the end of a chain he did not build. Decades earlier, James Clerk Maxwell was working on abstract equations involving electricity and magnetism. No startup, no business plan, no communications empire. Just strange mathematics that looked disconnected from practical life. Then later, Heinrich Hertz proved electromagnetic waves actually existed. Again, not for fame, not for industry, just curiosity. And inside that useless work, the future of wireless civilization was already forming. Marconi commercialized the final layer, an important step, but only the last step. Because the invisible foundations already existed beneath him. History remembered the last person in the chain, not the forgotten builders underneath it. Marconi got the fame, but not the geniuses who laid the foundation for him. This pattern repeats everywhere. Einstein was not trying to help people navigate cities faster. He wasn't trying to make your drive smoother. He wasn't thinking of Google Maps or Waze. He was trying to understand space-time itself. But GPS systems now silently depend on relativity every second. Without Mad Einstein, GPS would not be possible. Quantum mechanics once looked bizarre and impractical too. Tiny particles, probability waves, abstract equations disconnected from reality. But hidden inside those equations, the semiconductor was waiting. And inside the semiconductor, the modern digital world was waiting. Computers, smartphones, the internet, artificial intelligence, entire civilizations of technology. Buried inside mathematics most people once considered useless. Even AI follows the same hidden system. Modern AI stands on decades of invisible mathematical groundwork built by people the public has never heard of. Probability theory, linear algebra, neural networks, optimization mathematics, transformer architectures. Most of it looked commercially irrelevant for years. Then suddenly, the world woke up, and trillion-dollar companies emerged, from foundations built by invisible generations before them. And this reveals something dangerous about the modern world. Modern society increasingly worships immediate usefulness, immediate profit, immediate productivity, immediate application. If something cannot prove its value quickly, society begins to suffocate it. Universities increasingly justify knowledge through employability. Research increasingly justifies itself through commercial outcomes. Human attention itself has been retrained to ask one question: what is this useful for? But that question hides a civilizational trap. Because the foundations of the future often begin as things that look economically irrational. People look at Steve Jobs and see a genius inventor, the iPhone, the revolution, the man who changed the world. But the iPhone was not created by one man. It was the final visible layer of thousands of invisible breakthroughs stretching across generations. The touchscreen depended on decades of material science and electrical engineering. The microprocessor depended on semiconductor physics. The semiconductor depended on quantum mechanics. The internet depended on military networking research. GPS depended on Einstein's relativity. Modern computing depended on mathematics. Developed long before computers even existed. Even the graphical interface traces backward through Xerox PARC, which itself stood on earlier layers of computing theory. Steve Jobs did something extraordinary. But he did not create civilization from nothing. He assembled visible perfection from invisible foundations. Built by countless people history barely remembers. The world saw the final product launch. It did not see the 100-year intellectual chain underneath it. People speak about Elon Musk as though he is building the future from scratch. Electric vehicles, reusable rockets, artificial intelligence, space exploration. But even these industries are standing on invisible mountains of accumulated knowledge. A SpaceX rocket contains physics, metallurgy, thermodynamics, control systems, and mathematics developed across centuries. Long before Elon Musk, there were generations of physicists and engineers, chemists, mathematicians, and aerospace researchers, laying foundations nobody celebrated at the time. Tesla depends on lithium battery research stretching back decades. Modern AI depends on theoretical mathematics and computer science developed long before Silicon Valley turned it into a commercial arms race. Even reusable rockets stand on foundations built by forgotten scientists from the Cold War space era. This does not diminish Elon Musk. Quite the opposite. It reveals a brilliant innovator who recognizes the value of useless knowledge. It reveals the hidden system underneath civilization itself. Visible innovators often become symbols of the future, but the future was already forming underground long before they arrived. History remembers the person holding the torch. It forgets the thousands who carried the fire through the darkness before them. Most of the future initially appears in forms that society does not know how to value. And that means something terrifying. A civilization obsessed only with immediate usefulness may slowly lose the ability to create the future itself, because the pipeline will dry up. Civilization is not really built from products. It is built on an invisible intellectual infrastructure. Accumulated thought, accumulated experimentation, accumulated curiosity. Most of it created by people who never became famous, never became rich, never became celebrated. Some died unknown, but without them, today's visible heroes would have nothing to stand on. Kublai Khan did not create Mongol power in a single lifetime. He inherited accumulated systems built before him. Marconi did not create wireless civilization alone. He inherited invisible mathematical foundations built before him. Modern AI companies did not create intelligence from nothing. They inherited decades of buried intellectual infrastructure. The world only celebrates the final visible layer, while civilization itself was built by everyone underneath it. Somewhere right now, someone is working on something that looks completely pointless. Obscure mathematics, strange physics, a weird theory, a stupid idea, something with no obvious commercial use. Most people will ignore it, some will mock it, many will laugh at it, some will call it impractical. But hidden inside that invisible work, the next layer of civilization may already be forming. Because every empire stands on invisible foundations. Every civilization inherits buried layers of thought. Every breakthrough sits on forgotten generations. History remembers the emperor, but history was built by everyone before him. This is the hidden system.